Okay. Um, okay. Today we'll be reading from sloka number
I think
14.
14. Yes.
Yeah.
I saw Nagrani Mataji's post. It was saying like it's her last day in
Yes,
her work.
he is going India.
Yeah.
Yes, so maybe she won't be joining.
Okay.
Today is the last. I think it was in June.
It's almost coming June. Right? Maybe in her work it is last day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. In a sense, it is good because they have kids and their education, and here it's constant uncertainty. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So kind of good for them in a sense, long term.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Otherwise, the kids suffer
Yeah.
every time they have to find new friendship.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll sing. Maybe we'll do the Radha Madhav and then start.
Yeah.
Switch on the Sri Prabhupada audio and then we all can do.
Jaya Radha Kunja Jaya Radha
Jaya Radha.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय उस्माकरं कपिलताय
Hare
Oh,
Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna, Granny Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are just starting now.
Absolutely.
And we'll just pray and then we'll start Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmadhirai Nashtapraye Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktirabhavati Naishtiki Vangshakalpatarubhasya cha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavrind. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram
Ram Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. All right, so we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text number 14. Yes. And we are going to read from text 14. Annad bhavanti bhutani prajanyad anna shambhava yajya bhavat. Yes, please.
Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanya sambhava.
यज्ञन्याद भवति प्रजन्यो यज्ञा कर्म समुद्भवा
Yajnanyadi bhavati
Parjanyo
yajna
Yagyah
karma samudbhava.
Samudbhava.
अन्ना भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्याद अन्न संभवा
Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanya anna sambhava.
यज्ञानादि भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञा कर्म संभवा.
Yajnanani bhavati parjanyo yajna karma sambhavam.
Hare Krishna. So we'll read translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. And rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Purport. Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, a great commentator on Bhagavad Gita, writes as follows. Ye indriya angasthavasthastam yajnam Sarveshwaram Vishnum Acharya avyacharya takchetasam ashananti tena tad dehi yatram samapdayanti te santa sarveshwarya yajna purushasya bhakteh sharvakilibhir अनादिकाल विविध्यैर आत्मानुभवा प्रति अनादिविर्निखलेन पापैर्विमुच्यते. So it is like a paragraph. It's not like exactly sloka. Earlier time people used to write in Sanskrit. Like communication was in Sanskrit. So this is written a paragraph, a kind of sentence. The Supreme Lord, who is known as Yajna Purusha, or the personal benefactor of all sacrifice, is the master of all the demigods, who serve him as the different limbs of the body serves the whole. Demigod like Indra, Chandra, Varuna are appointed officer who manage material affair, and the Veda directs sacrifice to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grain. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigod who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the deities of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immune to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna counteract all reactions of his past material infection. Material infection, which are impediment to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continue to increase the volume of sensual reactions, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs to suffer the resultant reactions of all sin. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. Food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kind of food grain, vegetable, fruits, etc., and the animal eats refuse of the food grain and vegetable, grass, plant, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of field and not on the production of big factories. The field of production is due to sufficient rain from sky, and such rain are controlled by demigod like Lord Indra, Chandra, Moon, and they are all servant of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find him in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajna specifically the Sankirtan Yajna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. Hare Krishna. Wonderful. So I think there is another person joined. What's your name? I say DHK and I cannot decipher. Hare Krishna. Okay, anyways. So here we see Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Karma Yoga chapter. This is chapter third and slok number 14. So in the previous verse, in the Krishna saying that the deities of the Lord are released from all kind of sin because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Other who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. yagya sishtasina santo muchyante sarva kilvisay bhunjate te tvagham papa ye pancha chatya atma karanat. So this is very important for our life, especially if anyone who is serious to advance in the Krishna consciousness. This is very basic thing which Krishna is suggesting or revealing to us, that this we all can do without much impediment. We cook food at our home, and the only thing we have to do is to offer to Krishna and then take it as prasadam. And then Krishna again going next step, that why you should offer food to Krishna. So then Krishna in this sloka 14 explaining that these food grains which you cook, which you eat, are produced from the rain. And the rain is produced by performance of yajna. And yajna is born of prescribed duties. So how do you understand this in our terms? Prabhupada explaining here that just like in this world, there is an irrigation department, there is an environmental department of environment and safety. There is a different department in the government, in a small countries, right? So likewise, in universal affair, where millions of planets are being managed in different planetary systems, there is a universal affair, and there are officers appointed for those work. Now, if you don't please them, please means you don't offer them back what you produce, then you are making them angry, right? Whether you know or don't know, it doesn't matter. If you don't, it's like very simple to understand that if we are living in, suppose in America, and if we are not paying taxes, whether you know or you don't know, you are a thief because you're not paying taxes. Why you should pay taxes? Because government is supplying everything for you. There is a roads, there are water supplies, there are, infrastructure, electricity, safety, police, all these works on taxes. So you have to pay the taxes if you are taking benefit. Likewise, in this world, while we are living, we are taking benefits. We are taking food, and foods are produced from rain. So we know this, that foods are produced from rain. This is not a big, everybody knows without rain, light, and air, we cannot have any grains, right? Correct, right? Nagrani Mataji, Pavitra Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. So now next question is, one thing we don't know so far in material science, that how rain is produced by yajna. It says rain are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, right?
Yes.
So we don't know how, because most of time we think that what we are taught in water cycle, that water from ocean evaporates by the sunlight.
Yes.
It becomes cloud, and then cloud pours the water depending on when there is temperature and pressure differences, then there is a rain. So that's what we taught of the rain, that rain comes because there is a cloud. But many times we see there is a lot of cloud, but it doesn't rain. So what is that, right? Like in most of time in even in presence of basically the presence of cloud doesn't mean it will have a rain, right? And somebody can say, no, we have chemical which they spray on. They create artificial clouds nowadays, right? So they have, I think it's silver, some chemical which they spray, and it condenses the water to rain, but it's not very effective. Like if you have to do, first of all, it will have toxic effect on the plants and all that. Where there is a rain, these chemicals will come down and they will have effect on the plants. So if you create artificial rain in the sky, so presence of cloud doesn't mean it will rain. So which means there is something which decides. So the scientists explain that it is the temperature and pressure. So yes, temperature and pressure, but who creates the temperature pressure? Is the sun. Sunlight changes the temperature, and in turns it has effect on pressure. So that condensation of the vapors happens in the form of droplets, right?
Yes.
So yajna, generally when we talk of yajna, we think you have a altar and you burn some wood and then you throw ghee, and typical yajna process that you throw some ghee, some grains, some mantras, and that's called yajna, right?
Yes.
So that is one type of yajna. Yajna's literal meaning is sacrifice, right? So sacrifice means tyaga, right? To give up something voluntarily is called sacrifice. So sacrifice, everybody is doing some kind of sacrifice, right? Because, if you are a student, you are sacrificing your time, your energy to study. So you are doing sacrifice. If you are parent, you are doing sacrifice because you are, sacrificing a little sleep, you're not eating on time, you are taking care of your family. If you're an employee, you are sacrificing your time and energy and intelligence, and then you're getting in return some salary, and you're serving your employee, an employee in turn serving others, public, the customers, and the customers also doing sacrifice because they are earning money, they are purchasing things. So nobody can say that I'm not doing sacrifice. Everybody is doing sacrifice, right?
Yes.
Because
Prabhuji.
the next line says yajna is what is the source of yajna? It is saying prescribed duty. So everybody has some form of duties to do. So everybody is doing duties. Yes, because if even if you are not responsible for anyone in the world, you can say that I don't have family, I'm not responsible for anyone, I don't care. Then at least you are responsible for yourself, because you have to eat, sleep, you have to satisfy your senses, you have to cook, or you have to purchase. If you need money, then you have to work to get some money so that you can survive, you can pay your bills, you can pay your rents, you have to cook, right? You have to sleep certain amount of time, you have to get up, you have to do exercise. To maintain this body also requires sacrifice, requires duties, and anyone who neglects those will suffer, right? Because you will get the disease, you will have disease because you're not doing regular what is needed for your body. So everybody is doing it. So then somebody can argue, since everybody is doing duties, then there should be always rain, sufficient rain. And then if there should have enough rain, then you shall have enough grains, right? Then there should not be any scarcity of food. But we know that there are so many countries, people are, dying of famine, hunger, right? So why there is a famine and hunger, right? If everybody is doing their duties. So here you have to see this keyword called prescribed duties. So duties are fine, but then what is prescribed duty? So prescribed duties are given by authorities. And because most of us don't believe in authorities, we believe what my mind says, I'll do whatever my mind says, I'll do it. I don't care about what anyone else says. I listen to my mind. My mind is the best friend. So then this prescribed word is missing. So if we don't do prescribed duties, then it's useless. Actually, it is harmful, not just useless. Because that's why nowadays there is irregular rain. When there is no requirement of rain, there is a rain. And when there is a rain required, you don't have rain. When earlier the temperature used to be normal, like, not too hot, not too cold but now even in India, you see the temperature is 45 degree, right? Because sun god is not happy somehow, because nobody cares about sun. The sun is supplying a lot of heat. And then what to do? And you have cut all the plants. The plants were like umbrellas, and you take out all the plant, then the sunlight directly coming to the earth and it is heating up. And then we are crying, right? And there is no food grains because what's happening, I was telling you last time, I was thinking one thing, this is revealing. So you see in United States, in America, there is so much grain produced. If you go little countryside, you drive in any state, you will see big farms. They are growing wheat, they are growing corn, maize, soybeans. There's so much production, but almost whole population is non-vegetarian. A lot of people daily eat meat plus beef, pork, everything. And then I was thinking, where does this all grain goes? Where it goes? Because they're producing so much, they're not exporting a lot. So where does it go? Where it is being consumed, right? So then
Yes.
I was listening and reading from a DOT, and they analyzed it that about 70 to 80% of the grain produced in the United States is being used to feed the animals in the
Oh.
farm. So these
Oh.
animals, these cows, buffaloes, pigs, chickens, all that is being fed soybean, corn, wheat, millets, all this. And then when they are grown, they are cut and made meat, right? So you're cutting them, you're cutting their throat, killing them for meat. So essentially, the whole grain produced is being used to cultivate and produce the meat.
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. And then what they do to produce, so everybody can survive on grains. It's not so difficult part because our body is designed to eat grains. But people consume meat. And these meat, even scientifically, we know that, if you have studied the rule of biomagnification. So as you consume the higher animal flesh, the biomagnification, which is accumulation of chemicals in those tissues, becomes more. So if you directly eat grain, you will have very less chemicals going in your body. But if you eat meat, accumulation has happened, so you will have more chemicals going in your body because you are eating meat. It is proven. There is no doubt about it. But still, a lot of people prefer eating meat. Why? Because that's what they've been taught. It's about their culture, So the whole culture is lost. And people don't know what to cook. There is no recipe. There is no culture. They don't know most of time cooking anything beyond pasta, sandwiches. They don't know much. And then now they are forced to eat that, whatever is supplied, by the industry. And whatever grains remain is consumed by the industry. So even industry need food grains to produce the products, right? Whether it's a ready-made food, whether it's a processed food, whether it's a synthetic food, all that is dependent on grains or supplies from raw material from the earth. But because people are so sinful, they became so sinful, and they are turning more and more sinful because it's like a cycle. You can't get out of it. It's a vicious cycle. Once you get into this sinful activity, you have to be just dependent on that because then you don't see any alternative out of it. That's how the world is designed. That if you get used to something, that's it. You just go on. Like very simple example. Suppose if a child is born in a non-vegetarian family, in a people who eat a lot of meat, if a kid is born, the kid doesn't know much, they are innocent. But from childhood, they are given only those things to eat, the meat, because the tongue develops taste with certain things from childhood. So then when they grow up, if you offer them nice vegetarian food, they won't like it because their tongue has become accustomed to non-vegetarian. So whose fault it is? It is not the kid's fault, right? Because if the parents would have supplied nice vegetarian food stuff, and especially Krishna Prasadam, then the person's consciousness and tongue would have been better. But because he was supplied or she was supplied with non-vegetarian food stuff, now even if they grown up, they won't like, they don't like vegetarian stuff. And even if they like, they don't know how to cook because their parents did not give them training. 1 minute. Just a minute. Because of that, the kids have no choice, and they have to just keep eating meat, flesh, and all that. And even if you're eating meat and flesh, then also you should do sacrifice. That's enjoined in Vedas, because even to have meat and flesh, you have to be dependent on food grain, because without food grain, you cannot grow animals. So even if you're non-vegetarian, you should have gratitude for supplying these meat, because meat need grains. The animal eat grain, and the grain comes from rain. Rain comes from sacrifice, and sacrifice comes from prescribed duties. So therefore, we should try to understand what is my prescribed duty, so that I can do my prescribed duties. And then here it is explained in this world, yajna specifically means Sankirtan Yajna. So Sankirtan Yajna, so we know in this Kali Yuga is Sankirtan Yajna. So what is Sankirtan Yajna? To come together and glorify. Sang means together, like coming together, and Yajna means performing sacrifice. So when we read, suppose Bhagavad Gita, we are coming together from different places, and we are glorifying Krishna because we are reading his message given in Bhagavad Gita. Or we come together and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When you do this, it's called Nama Sankirtan, right? Nama, because you're taking the name of the Krishna and Ram and Radha, Hare, and then you're doing Nama Sankirtan, right? If you come together, read Bhagavad Gita, then you're glorifying Krishna. That's another Sankirtan. If you're distributing prasadam, and that's a prasadam Sankirtan, because you're distributing prasadam, celebrating festivals, it's a festival Sankirtan. Or everything we come together and glorify is called Sankirtan. Okay. So likewise, in this Kali Yuga, we have prescribed duties, which is in this case, Krishna is saying, just cook the food and offer it to me. He will say that, and then take it as a prasadam, rather than eating the sin. And the best thing, if you offer things to Krishna, then you know what to offer and what to eat, because Krishna says, Patram Puspam Phalam Toyam. I will accept a leaf, a water, a fruit, and flower. So within this, you can find all kind of grains, all kind of vegetarian food and stuff. Because Krishna can eat anything. It can, Krishna has eaten fire. When this Kaliya Leela was over and Kaliya was subdued and Kaliya went sent to another place, then suddenly Krishna came out of the Yamuna lake, and then there was a huge forest fire. And all the cowherd boys and all the cowherd, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maiya were sleeping next to the river bed because they were fainted because of seeing Krishna on Kaliya's hood. So when they were preparing to now go home after this episode was over, suddenly there was a forest fire. And Krishna was just 7-year-old. And everybody was terrified because the forest fire was so huge that it was going to burn everyone to ashes. And within a moment, Krishna asked everyone, close your eyes. And then everyone closed their eyes. And then Krishna, he took all the fire in his mouth and just finished the fire. So Krishna can eat fire. So Krishna can eat anything. It's not about, what kind of God you have, which cannot eat meat or which cannot eat anything. No, we have a God which can eat fire. But you don't like eating fire, right? He doesn't love doing that, right? So what he prefers, we should offer in love and devotion, right? So that's the logic, that because he says patram puspam phalam toyam, now you cannot question why does it say patram puspam phalam toyam, because just like you say, for example, we have preferences, we like certain things. So now if somebody asks you explanation, you'll say, oh, I just like it. That's my nature. That's how I, prefer. So Krishna also have nature, personality. He likes patram puspam phalam toyam with the love and devotion. So we should just offer it, right? So we'll read next sloka. And if you have any question, doubt, please note down and we will discuss at the end. So prefer noting down, and that's the best practice, okay? Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll read text 15. Mataji, do you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishthitam. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Purport. Agnartha karma, or the necessary of work for the satisfaction of Krishna only, is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the satisfaction of the Yajna Purusha, Vishnu, then we must find out the directions for work in Brahma or the transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore codes of working directions. Anything performed without the direction of Vedas is called vikarma, or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in ordinary life by the direction of the stage, one similarly has to work under the direction of supreme state of the Lord. Such directions in the Vedas are directly manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is also, it is said, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nishvasitamethat Yad Rugvedo Yajurvedaha Samavedo Adarvangi Rasaha. The four Vedas, namely the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, are all emanations from the breathing of the great personality of Godhead. Brahma Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.11. The Lord, being omnipotent, can speak by breathing air, for as it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. The Lord has the omnipotence to perform through each of his senses the actions of all other senses. In other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing and he can impregnate by his eyes. In fact, it is said that he glanced over material nature and thus fathered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of the material nature, he gave his directions in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment. But the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead, having finished his so called enjoyment. It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mansi. So this sloka is a supplementing earlier one, that we were talking prescribed duties and this saying regulated activities prescribed in Vedas. So everyone has regulated activities prescribed, right? Somebody can question, oh, how do you know? I know that what is my duty, right? So yes. So first of all, we have to understand our position, right? At present. So for example, I am born in certain family. I am educated in certain way, right? I received certain education. And I have certain tendencies naturally. I don't have to like too much emphasize on that. I know that I have these tendencies. So we have to see what is my position. So by nature and by activity, by quality and the activities, by nature is like what modes I am. I am in mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance predominantly, right? And then what ashrama I am. So, whether I am brahmachari, whether I am grihastha, or whether I am vanaprastha, or whether I am sannyasa, right? So right now, for me, I can speak, if I have to think of my prescribed duties, then I was born in so-called a Brahmin family in India, and then I got education in biology and science. I did my PhD, and then I got married. So I have kid. I have my wife. So I'm grahastha. I do like explaining things to people in scientific manner, especially Vedic scripture, because that's the direction of my Guru Maharaj. So that becomes my lifetime duty. So Grahastha has certain prescribed duties, right? So my position in ashram is Grahastha, which means what should I do? First thing, I should take care of my family nicely and give them an atmosphere so that they can be Krishna conscious, supply them shelter, food, give them opportunity to chant, read, and go to temples, celebrate festivals. So that's I'm giving, that's my job to kind of provide, in a sense, become an instrument to provide, because I can't provide. Krishna provides everything. And second job is to follow the direction of my spiritual master, right? So the Grahastha's first job is take care of family. Second is to give charity, because I am earning money. I make money because I do some kind of job or some business, anything. I do my job. I get salary. And my job is to, of course, spend money as needed for my family. But at the same time, since I'm a householder, my job is also to give charity, to give donations. Why? Because if I don't do that, then I will become attached to the money and family, right? And when my kids grow up, I should not get attached to them. right? Because I should, if I have a boy, then I should, promote them to become brahmachari or dedicate their life for Krishna consciousness. If I have a girl, then I should cultivate or grow her in such a way, take care of her in such a way that she becomes a nice Krishna conscious devotee. And when she get married, she have a nice Krishna conscious husband and family. That's my prescribed duty so far. And once my kids are grown up, then I should start kind of, once they kind of get married or get education, then I start dedicating my more time and resources for Krishna conscious activities, right? So these are the prescribed duties in broad manner for a grahastha. If you are young and you're not yet married, you don't have kids, then you can give more time to Krishna conscious activity for preaching, give donations, give more time for preaching, spend more time reading scriptures, cultivating your own knowledge, visit pilgrimage places, go for festivals, go and help in the temple, cooking, cleaning, washing. These are all duties. It does not create any kind of karma. And Prabhupada explaining here, we have studied there are three kind of karmas, right? Karma of three kind: akarma, bikarma, and sakarma. Akarma is something. So first we understand bikarma. Bikarma is something which is against the prescribed duties given in the Vedas. Prabhupada is saying that. That's called bikarma. B means against, right? Sakarma means you are doing certain activity prescribed in the Vedas, but you are doing for your own sense gratification, for your own sense satisfaction. That's called bikarma, because you are taking the result, positive results of that activity. So called that's called sakarma. With sa means some outcome you want yourself directly. So sakarma means doing as per given in the karma kanda, and bikarma means not given, you just do by your whimsical thought process. And akarma is something you do, but as per prescribed in the shastras, but you don't take the results of it. You offer the result of that activity, that karma, to Krishna. So if you do that, that becomes akarma, which means that you are not bound by the results of those activities. So that's the best position, because even if you do good activity, you have to enjoy. And when the result of good activity finishes, then you suffer. And if you do bad activity, then also you suffer. And then you do more bad activity, you suffer more and more and more. So it's a bondage cycle. But if you do akarma, something like chanting Hare Krishna mantra, reading Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, giving donations, giving charity, helping devotees, and you're not expecting any result out of it, then it's called akarma, right? So akarma is good, and we should try to see in our life how much akarma I'm doing, how much bikarma I'm doing, and how much sakarma I'm doing, because everybody is doing that, right? Most of time we are doing bikarma because we don't know. But since these laws are designed by modes of material nature, doesn't matter whether you know or you don't know, you have to suffer or enjoy the results of your activities, right? Because these are laws, and if you break the law, you are liable for reward. Or if you break the law, you punishment. If you follow the law, then you get reward. But if you want to go above all this, papa punya, papa punya, papa punya, you want to get out of it, then you have to do akarma, right? So analyze that at your end, and then you will find, how much time daily I'm spending in which of these activities. Now, next thing Prabhupada explaining that these Vedas, these prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas, came out from the breathing of Lord Vishnu, right? You see this in second paragraph. this saying, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nimasitam Ethayad Rigvedo Yajurvedo Shamavedo Atharvang Grisha. The four Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Sham Veda, Atharveda, are all emanations from the breathing of the great personality of Godhead. It is given in Brahad Aranya Upanishad 4.5.11. And in Brahma Samhita also confirms that the senses of the Krishna are different than our own senses. Like we have eyes, we have mouth, we have nose, we have ears, we have skin, we have senses, we have body. And if you see the deity of Krishna, then you also see the same thing. You know, Krishna has eyes, Krishna has nose, mouth, ears, skin. So somebody may think, and that's why most of people think, oh, Krishna is also a human. And why should I accept him as a god? Because he looks like a human. So how it is, he's different. So in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma, who is the first creator in this universe, created being, first created being, he's not a creator. He's a created being. So when Krishna created first created being, is Brahma, named as Brahma, that's a position, right? So Brahma is a position. You should understand, any living entity can become Brahma. And Brahma is the foremost person who has all the knowledge of these Vedas, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Yatharveda, and Rigveda. And it is said that these Vedas, this knowledge came off from breathing of Lord Vishnu. Now this is inconceivable, right? If you say, you come to this class, Bhagavad Gita, and I will just breathe like Baba Ramdev. You understand this, this Bhagavad Gita, right? I can't teach you Bhagavad Gita by breathing because I have to speak with my throat, my larynx, my sound box, and I have to move my tongue and lips to release sound. And you can also take sound vibration. You cannot take my breathing in a message, right? Some people can, maybe yogis, but maybe Baba Ramdev can do that. But we cannot do that, like breathing and taking a message, right? So how to understand this, right? So like we have a phones, right? We have phone. How does it receives the message, the calls or messages? How do you receive it? By waves, right? There are frequencies which connects to your network, and the person sitting other places, though just vibrating, but that those sound captured, suppose I'm talking to you right now, it is capturing my sound through this mic and then transferring on your device. So it is coming via waves. You cannot see it, right?
Yes.
But you have a device which can capture, and so that you can, you need internet, you need device, you need certain software versions to be able to hear this, right? So likewise here, Brahma received the message from the breathing, right? And Krishna's, it is said in Brahma Samhita that Krishna's all senses are omnipotent. Omnipotent means, if you say something is omnipotent, which means that it can perform the functions of everything, every other things, right? So with our nose, we cannot eat. With our eyes, we cannot speak. With our ear, we cannot do any other activity than hearing. But Krishna's senses are omnipotent because he is omnipotent. Actually, this is inconceivable. This is achintya. But since he is a god, you have to give a leap of faith that he can do it. And he showed it. Like I told you just a few moments ago that Krishna drank fire. Oh, this is inconceivable, right? Krishna could drink fire. We cannot drink even hot water. But he could drink fire. So which means his mouth, his senses are, he can perform any other activity than, than what we can do. And that's why he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, why would you would call someone Supreme Personality of Godhead if they are not different than us, right? What is the difference there, right? So Krishna can, when this universe is created from Mahatattva, so the way it is created from Mahatattva, what happens? Lord Vishnu glances over the Mahatattva, and by just glance, it impregnates all the living entities in this universe. Now, if you will think, oh, how can this eyes, with the looking at things, you can create a living entity? So number of living entities are fixed. They are not like, he's not like manufacturing living entities. They are fixed in this universe. But what he is doing is just impregnating living entities into the womb of material nature, right? Material nature is Prakriti, explained in the Vedas and in the Bhagavad Gita. So he can do that because he is God. So you have to take that way. Otherwise, there is no way to show how does he breathe and the Vedas came out. And you have to take that omnipotence factor of Krishna or Vishnu to understand this activity of his, right? So we'll go to the next sloka.
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Pavitra Mataji, please read.
Yes. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah agya yurindriya yaramo mogham partha sajivati. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. The Mammonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yajnas is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulations is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more. By nature's law, this human form of life is specifically meant for self realization in either of the three ways, namely Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performances of the prescribed yajnas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above mentioned cycle of yajna performances. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yajna system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yajnas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yajnas, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if by performing yajnas one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not, therefore, limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So it is very important because this Krishna is now giving decision that what happens if you don't follow, because somebody can say, oh, okay, I don't want to follow. So then saying leads a life full of sins and living only for satisfaction of senses, such person lives in vain, right? So why this yajna system is planned? So it is Prabhupada saying the yajna system is planned in such a way that sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desire without being entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work, right? So because somebody can say what is the need of this yajna? You know, if Krishna wants us to become bhakti yogi or bhakta, then you should not have this intermediary process, you know, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and then bhakti yoga. Why don't directly bhakti yoga? Why are these karmakandi yajnas, you know, prescribed in Vedas? Why do you have so many Vedas? If the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is supreme, then why do you have so many Purana, Vedas? And in each Vedas, Puranas, there are different recommendations. It confuses, right? So confusing. So here Prabhupada explaining that these different yajnas are dedicated for different type of demigods, and if you do that, you get certain results and you can satisfy your desires in a legal way. So yajnas are in a system which gives you a legal way to satisfy your desire, right? For example, we know that prostitution is bad, right? There are, you know, prostitution creates disturbance in society, in a sense. People say that, right? And that's why brothels and all places, they are kept in certain places in the city, somewhere outskirt or places, right? Remote places, little from the where the normal people live. These prostitution colonies are kept little different, right? So why they exist? Because you can say, if it is bad, then why government support and maintain such things, right? An earlier time, the prostitution was not a bad profession. There are people, you know, they used to do as a family history. Their families and families were, you know, in that profession. It was a respected profession because they were going in big kings' houses, performing dances, satisfying the kings, you know, and getting rewards in return. That was their profession, right? It was done very professionally. So why it was there, you know? One can ask this question. And we know that why they are there, because now also we see, if you don't have it, then people get indulged in disturbing, you know, general people's life. So the people who are interested to get into this profession and people who need such services of engaging in illicit sex activities, they can go to such places and satisfy their desires, right? So that they don't disturb other people, the common public, right? That's why government doesn't ban it completely, right? They want it to be legally doing it, right? Likewise, in the Vedas, there are different, since we know there are different type of living entities, and in humans itself, there are 84,000 species. So because people work in different modes, in goodness, passion, and ignorance, so they need different type of process to be able to reach finally to Krishna consciousness. And how they do reach? By purification, by purificatory process. So that's why there is a karma yoga. If you cannot do, you know, jnana yoga, then do at least karma yoga. And karma yoga, everybody can do it, because it's so integral part of our life. Anything we do is do as a service or offering to Krishna. It's called karma yoga. And if you cannot do karma yoga also, then you can do at least yajnas, you know, different worship demigods. So if demigods are pleased, because demigods are representative of Krishna, indirectly you are offering your offerings to Krishna via demigods. So it's not bad, but it will not have the same result, right? Likewise, you satisfy, you know, it's something like, for example, if you satisfy a lower officer, you will still get the result because you will get your work done. But if you satisfy directly the president or someone, then your work will be directly done at a broader scale, right? So it's our choice how we want to do it, right? Because there is a free will. Krishna gave free will. He doesn't force anyone. So that everybody, it's an inclusive culture. So Vedic culture was very inclusive. Nobody was left out. Everybody is part of the whole culture. And now you'll see, you know, there is a lot of DI, diversity, equity, and also many movements going on. Why? Because people have become so self-centered that nobody cares about others. Everybody wants to satisfy their senses, and that's why there is a chaos. But yajnas, these prescriptions in the Vedas, and further in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, is given so that we go above moral code. Because all the world, in the whole world, the philanthropic activities, so many kind of other so-called philanthropic activities are nothing but a moral code. It's just following some, be nice, be gentle, be smile often, enjoy the life. So many things going on out there, right? It's all moral code. But even if you do not fully know moral, because you promote that you want equality, then you kill the animal and eat in your plate. Where is equality, right? Like Jesus Christ said that thou shalt not kill. So that's the first commandment by Jesus Christ. Thou shalt not kill. And then later Christianity, leaders change it to thou shalt not murder. So then they said murder means killing a human. So you can kill animals and eat. So they changed it from killing to murder. And said that only, you can just avoid humans, but you can eat anything else, right? So this is corruption. Same thing happened in Vedas. People changed it for their own benefit. They wanted to exploit, they wanted to satisfy their senses, that they started modifying, because it's a Sanskrit language, so the general public doesn't understand too much, and the leaders destroyed it. But the good thing is that now it is coming preserved. It was preserved. The message is not lost. It just interpretation was lost. So now Srila Prabhupada and by Acharyas, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, bringing via Srila Prabhupada, bringing this message clear that, hey, this is not correct. What you interpreted was not right. Here it is the right interpretation. Please take it and be happy, right? And especially he's presenting Sankirtan Yajna, which one should go beyond moral code, from sensory consciousness to Krishna consciousness. That's a journey, right? To go from moral codes to bhakti yoga, to the yajna, right? So we'll have one more sloka and then we will end here. The Krishna, text 17. Anybody wants to read? Hare Krishna.
I'll go ahead, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्याद् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टस्तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and one who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A person who is fully Krishna conscious is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness, no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, and effect of many thousands of yajna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-eliminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Hare Krishna.
You can read next one also.
नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो नाकृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on either any other living being. A self-realized man is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and except activities in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation.
You can read next one also, ma'am.
तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. The Supreme is the personality of Godhead for the devotees and liberation for the impersonalist. A person, therefore, acting for Krishna or in Krishna consciousness, under proper guidance and without attachment to the result of the work, is certainly making progress toward the supreme goal of life. Arjuna is told that he should fight in the battle of Kurukshetra for the interest of Krishna, because Krishna wanted him to fight. To be a good man or a non-violent man is a personal attachment, but to act on behalf of the Supreme is to act without attachment for the result. That is perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Vedic rituals like prescribed sacrifices are performed by purification of impious activities that were performed in the field of sense gratification. But action in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the reactions of good or evil work. A Krishna conscious person has no attachment for the result but acts on behalf of Krishna alone. He engages in all kinds of activities but is completely non attached. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yes, thank you. So there are a couple of words came out in these slokas. One word came out is most important, is called Atmaratil, for self and self-realization. And then comes who is satisfied in self only and fully satisfied, satiated, for him there is no duty. And then it says in next sloka, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, without being attached to the fruit of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Right? So what is self? So let's understand. What do you think what comes in your mind when you think of self?
It's our own.
So if somebody says, yes, you're correct. If somebody says, define your own, right? Define. If you have to define it, how do you define your own, like, self? And link with self-realization. Realization means to be aware, right? So to be aware, we have to know what I'm trying to be aware, right? So I'll give you a hint. It's something like who I am, like self. Self, like we say self, myself, yourself, thyself, they self, right? Like, so what is self?
Only bound to that. Like if it is myself, it's only bound to me. We speak or the things we do that we'll express in a way that it is only bound to ourselves.
Okay, yes, you're correct. So this is something related with my body, right?
Yes.
So like suppose if I say this is my family, which means I am born from these parents, or they are my grandfather, they are father, mother, right? If I say this is self, this is mine, then this is my school, education, laptop, house, room. This is anything connected with my body. We call it self, right?
Yes.
Directly or indirectly, doesn't matter. Whether it is an object, whether it is in knowledge, whether it is an activity, whether it is a result, we call it self, anything connected with this body. Third adhyaya, this is third chapter, Mataji and Samantaji, third chapter, slok 18, 19, 20, 18, 19, 17, 18, 19. So now let's take further. But are we this body?
No.
Okay, so we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that you are not his body, you are a spiritual soul, right? So now, does this body belongs to the soul? Is there any connection between soul and this body?
Yes. As long as, like, in this birth, the body is the place where the soul resides. It's
Yes.
like, yeah.
Yes. So the body is a place where the soul resides. Correct. But does soul create this body?
No.
So who creates the body? The parents, like the ova and sperm goes in the body of a mother. So father gives a sperm, mother has the ova, and then first seed is formed, and then that seed grows in 9 months, 10 months, and gives a baby. So the parents can say that we produced you, your body at least, right? They literally say that we gave you birth. No. So, which means they seem like they created it, right? Right? That's what we are taught, that your parents are your creator. So, but then you can ask question, who created them? Because for sure, if they created me, then they were also created by someone. So then they will say, oh, my father, which is your grandfather, created me, right? And grandmother, right? Then you can ask question, who created them? And likewise, if you see this chain of grandfather, grandmother, grandfather, grandmother, you will reach to whom? If you see this lineage chain, you will reach to Brahma,
Yes.
Manu, right? And then from Brahma, if you ask Brahma, who created you? And the Brahma will say, oh, this is Narayana, Krishna. And then Krishna is self-created. He doesn't have any creator. That's the God. That's how you define the God. The God, one who does not created by anyone, he creates everyone. That's called God. That's a knowledge. That's a definition of God. Who creates everyone, who maintains everyone, who destroys everyone, right? So that, which means then this body is created by God, ultimately, in ultimate sense. Now somebody can say, okay, then why did I get this body, this self? What they call self, this sense of self comes because if this soul is not self of this body, because we got this body because of certain activities, certain karmas, we got certain type of body to enjoy or suffer. Now, if you see this self-realization, this word very common in the world, self-realization, self-realization, self-realization. So there are two words. Self means you, your identity as a soul, and realization. So what does it mean by realization? To be aware of who I am, right? That's called self-realization, that who I am. I'm not this body because this body is created by someone else, and I have the soul in the body, which means the soul and bodies are different. And at the death, you have to leave this body. The soul goes away, body remains there, because that's the death, when the soul gets separated from body. So then who I am, that's a realization, right? You ask that question, Athato Brahma Jigyasha. What is my nature? Who I am, where I came from, where I'll go, what is my destination? These are called Brahman questions. You ask this. And so Krishna is saying that if you are self-realized person, then you have no duties to perform, right? So then you want to know, what is that position, to become self-realized? What does it mean? I want to become that, like that, because I mean, it's so painful to do so many things, suffer or enjoy. But what if I attain such a position when I don't have to suffer or enjoy? Right? I'm not responsible for anyone. It's a very awesome position, right? If we get such a position when I'm not liable for anyone in this world, what a great position, right? Everybody's actually trying to achieve that position when you're not responsible for anyone, right? Which is like you're trying to get a bigger position so that you are less responsible for many people. You want to just, responsible for some people, not everyone. And what if you get a position when you're not responsible to anyone in this world? That's a self-realized position. Krishna is explaining this chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, slok number 17, 18, and 19, that if you become self-realized, and what is that realization? That I am the soul. And the realization is, I am the spiritual soul, part and partial of Krishna, of God, right? So I am a fragmental part and partial of Krishna. If you act in such a consciousness, then whole world you will see as your friend, because every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna. Then your dimension of self expands, whether it is a dog, cat, chandal, pisach, animal, bird, beast, cow, goat, elephant, mountain, animate, inanimate, everything is part and parcel of Krishna, which means we have a common father. If we have a common father, then we are siblings in some or other way. Everybody is brother and sister. Then where there is no conflict, right? If we act in such a consciousness, then we can say that we are acting in self-realized consciousness, right? And if you do that, then you can attain Supreme. Because then you are thinking one common father, one common owner, which is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you think like that and act, then you are above the prescribed duties. Because prescribed duties are meant to funnel our consciousness from sensory consciousness, from sense gratification consciousness, moving that to Krishna consciousness. But if you start from there, which is like when you chant Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What is it doing? It is reminding us daily that I am part of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna, and so as everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore I don't have a friend and enemy, because everybody is my sibling, and everybody is loved by Krishna. Krishna loves everyone. Even if people don't love Krishna, Krishna loves everyone. And because Krishna loves everyone, so I should love everyone, because that's what Krishna likes. And therefore, then you go above the prescribed duties, above the Vedas, actually. You go into transcendental consciousness, because Vedas mainly deal with 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. This is the Vedas. So you have to go above the Vedas, which is Para Veda. right? You have to go para Brahma, not Brahman, para Brahman, which is Krishna. And when you act in such consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, then your life becomes sublime, because without that, we will just enjoy or suffer, enjoy or suffer, enjoy or suffer. But if we go above, and that's what this whole Krishna consciousness movement, whole Krishna conscious philosophy, Krishna conscious way of life is tailored to push us in that direction of being completely Krishna conscious, right? And so that we can be happy, we can be peaceful. It is not a movement to create fanatics, to create jadugars. That's not a movement. Movement is to create some nice set of people who can who can become self-realized of their identity and preach the same message to others. What is the message? To just remind them, hey friend, you are part and parcel of Krishna. You are not this body, you are a spiritual soul, and your nature is part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore you some or other way serve Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna, and that's how you'll realize this self-realization identity. That's it. That's the preaching, right? The whole, years now, almost many months or almost years, you are listening. Every time we talk this, and somebody can say, "Oh, every time you talk about, do this, and you become Krishna conscious, become Krishna conscious, become Krishna conscious." Why you say every time? Why don't say something new? Because that's his message. You can't change the message. This is the message. And if somebody cannot understand, you can't help out. You can just say the same thing again and again and again and again, because you don't want to manufacture it something concocted way, right? So we'll end here. Anybody have any thoughts, comments, anything, questions? Please share. Hare Krishna. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. All goes to Bhagavad Gita, and all goes to Krishna, and all goes to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thanks. Yes.
हाँ, हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
मैं सुबह हिंदी की क्लास ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाई थी,
कोई नहीं।
और थोड़ी दिक्कत आ रही थी अभी परिवार में, तो मैं 2-3 संडे से नहीं किया मैंने।
हाँ।
बाकी मैं माला जप तो पढ़ती हूँ। और मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है।
यस माताजी।
मैं थोड़ा कंफ्यूज में हो गई थी, क्योंकि मैं गायत्री मंत्र भी बोलती थी पहले।
हाँ।
तो कल मैंने एक कथा सुनी, इंडिया में कोई व्यासपीठ से बोल रहा था,
यस।
तो उन्होंने बोला कि महिलाओं को गायत्री मंत्र नहीं बोलना चाहिए। तो ऐसा है क्या? मैंने आज बोला ही नहीं फिर।
महिलाओं को गायत्री मंत्र नहीं बोलना चाहिए। यस।
हाँ, ये बोला उन्होंने। हाँ,
यस। तो एक मिनट।
वो आप जानते होंगे उनको, गौरी गोपाल, वृंदावन धाम में कथा करते हैं।
मुझे नहीं पता माताजी, बहुत सारे लोगों
हाँ
को मैं।
हाँ, वो इंडिया में करते हैं, गौरी गोपाल। वो अनिरुद्धाचार्य जी हैं।
हम्म।
तो उन्होंने कल बोला था, तो मैं सुन रही थी, तो मुझे एकदम में उसी समय से मैं कंफ्यूज में हो गई।
यस। तो आई थिंक हमने डिस्कस किया है इसको पहले क्लासेस में। हाँ।
हाँ,
आप लोगों से किसी को याद है, पवित्रा माता जी, नागरानी माता जी, कि हमें गायत्री मंत्र या कोई भी वैदिक मंत्र क्यों नहीं हम कर सकते हैं? ठीक, हमने बहुत डिस्कस किया है इसको।
हाँ, हाँ।
नहीं प्रभुजी, याद नहीं है अभी।
ओके।
Yeah, this is for me too, Prabhuji.
ओके, कोई नहीं। तो कैसा होता है माता जी, समरी में समझिए कि
हम्म,
जैसे कैसे समझाऊं, जैसे जज होता है।
हाँ
तो जज, कई तरीके के जज होते हैं। एक कोर्ट का जज होता है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में जज होता है। एक
हाँ
फिर हाई कोर्ट में जज होता है, स्टेट में,
हाँ
राज्य में। और फिर एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जज होता है।
हाँ
तीनों जो जज होते हैं वो भारत का संविधान ही यूज करते हैं, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। और
हाँ
सेम किताबों से ही नियम निकालते हैं, जो जो नियम बनाया
हाँ
गया है सब तीनों सेम नियम लगाते हैं।
हाँ
लेकिन जो 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 हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट का जज होता है, वो उसका एक लिमिट है कि वो उतना ही डिसीजन दे सकता है जितना उसके लेवल में।
लेवल।
उसके बाद का डिसीजन अगर आपको करना लेना है तो आप राज्य पे, स्टेट हाई कोर्ट में जाएंगे जज के पास।
हाँ हाँ
और उससे बड़ा अगर लेना है तो आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाते हैं, राइट।
हाँ
ओके। तो ऐसे ही, क्यों ऐसा होता है? क्योंकि उनका
हम्म,
अपना अलग अलग क्वालिफिकेशन है। उनका एक अलग, क्यों पोजीशन अलग अलग क्यों बनाई गई? उनका एक अलग
हम्म,
अलग दायरा है, उनका एक अलग अलग क्वालिफिकेशन है, और उनका अलग अलग नॉलेज है, एक्सपीरियंस है। ऐसा होता है कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट का जज भी प्रमोशन होते होते सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज बन सकता है।
हम्म,
बन सकता है ना, धीरे धीरे उसको
हाँ
प्रमोशन
हाँ
होते 20 साल 50 साल का एक्सपीरियंस हो गया तो वो
हाँ
ऐसे ऐसे हो जाते हैं लोग, रिकमेंडेशन
हम्म,
उनको मिलता है, उनको अवार्ड मिलता है धीरे धीरे। तो सब लोग क्वालिफाइड हैं जज बनने के लिए, लेकिन कुछ लोग ही
हाँ
जज बनते हैं, और उसमें वैसे भी वो किस लेवल पे जज बन रहे हैं उसे आपसे वो डिसीजन दे सकते हैं, राइट।
हम्म,
जबकि नियम सेम है। ऐसे ही वेद में मंत्रास दिए गए हैं, बहुत सारे मंत्र दिए गए हैं। हाँ, बहुत सारे मंत्र हैं।
हम्म,
तो जब मंत्र दिए गए थे माता जी, तो
हम्म,
वो एक स्पेसिफिक टाइम के लिए दिए गए थे। हाँ,
अच्छा।
टाइम जैसे सतयुग, तो आप सतयुग
हम्म,
था, फिर त्रेता युग था, फिर द्वापर युग
हम्म,
था, तो कलयुग, अब कलयुग में हैं हम। तो अलग
हम्म,
टाइम था, अलग सिचुएशन थी, उनका दिमाग अलग था, उनका शरीर अलग था। हम अभी
हम्म,
कैसा, अभी हम तो 50 60 साल भी सही से नहीं जी पाते। वो लोग 10 20 हजार 50 हजार साल जीते थे। हाँ, उनका बुद्धि बहुत शार्प था, बहुत बुद्धिमान थे वो। उनको मेमोरी बहुत शार्प थी, सब याद रहता था।
हम्म,
तो वहां पे उस टाइम का रूल दिया गया था, उस टाइम के मंत्र दिए गए थे, लोग करते थे, उससे उनको फायदे होते थे, उसका रिजल्ट मिलता था।
हम्म,
अभी कलयुग में क्या है? कलयुग में हरे नाम हरे केवलम कलौ नास्तेव कलौ नास्तेव नास्तेव
हम्म,
गतिरन्यथा। तो भगवान कृष्ण का नाम, भगवान राम का नाम दिया गया कलयुग में। अब
हम्म,
क्योंकि गायत्री मंत्र तो बना था, वो सतयुग से है गायत्री मंत्र, सतयुग
हम्म,
द्वापर त्रेता। तो सतयुग के लोग, अभी क्या था कि उसमें क्वालिफिकेशन थी कि आपको किसी मंत्र को कब प्रोनाउंस करना है, आपका कितना
हम्म,
क्वालिफिकेशन होना चाहिए, उस मंत्र को
हम्म,
प्रोनाउंस करने का प्योरिटी, मतलब जो जो दिमाग है वो कितना प्योर है, और जो हम जिस जिस टोन में बोल रहे हैं उसको उस तरीके से बोलना है।
हम्म,
मंत्र इसके लिए बनाए गए थे। तो मंत्र का मतलब होता है जो जो माइंड को तार दे, वो मंत्र होता है। मन इति त्रायते मना, तो मंत्र बोला जाता है उसको। तो गायत्री मंत्र बहुत टॉप मोस्ट मंत्र है, मतलब वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट मान लो उसको, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, राइट। तो गायत्री मंत्र सिर्फ ब्राह्मण दीक्षा जिनको मिली या जो संन्यास में है उनके लिए बना हुआ है। गायत्री, उनको गायत्री दीक्षा मिलती है, गायत्री मंत्र वो। और उसके लिए प्योरिटी है, एक शुद्धता होती है, समय होता है, स्थान होता है, और उनका क्वालिफिकेशन, उनका योग्यता होती है, उनके लिए गायत्री मंत्र अभी भी कलयुग में भी बनाया गया है, लोग करते हैं। लेकिन जनरल पब्लिक के लिए गायत्री मंत्र इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि हमारे अंदर प्योरिटी नहीं है, हमारे अंदर शुद्धता नहीं है, हमारा दिमाग शांत नहीं है। और हम अगर करेंगे तो उसका उल्टा प्रभाव आएगा। जैसे अगर अपने राज्य का कोई हाई कोर्ट का जज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन देने लगे या सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जैसा बिहेव करने लगे, तो उसका जो प्रभाव आएगा उसका उल्टा आएगा, उसको जेल में डाल दिया जाएगा। सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जज बोलेगा कि इसको, ये हाई कोर्ट वाला पागल हो गया है, अभी इसको हटाओ। या फिर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट वाले जजमेंट देने लगे हाई कोर्ट और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के लेवल पे, राइट।
हाँ
तो तो हम करते हैं क्योंकि हमारा प्रोनाउंसिएशन सही नहीं है, हमारा मानसिक स्थिति सही नहीं है, हमारी प्योरिटी शरीर में उतनी अच्छी नहीं है, तो ना हम बाहर से प्योर हैं ना हम अंदर से प्योर हैं, हमें पता है, फिर भी हम करते हैं तो उसका हमारे ऊपर उल्टा प्रभाव आता है। एक्चुअली उसका हमारे ऊपर उल्टा प्रभाव आएगा कि जैसे होता है ना, रिएक्शन करती है, जैसे गलत मेडिसिन ले लो, अब मुझे पेट दर्द है और मैं बुखार की दवा लूंगा तो मुझे रिएक्शन आएगा ना शरीर पे,
हाँ, बराबर।
राइट। तो इसीलिए शास्त्रों में ये रिकमेंडेड है कि हमें हमारा जो लेवल है, और हमें मंत्र वही जाप करना चाहिए जो हमारे आचार्य देके गए हैं, जो गुरु देके गए हैं। और जो तीन चीजें होती हैं, गुरु साधु शास्त्र। तो गुरु, अभी जिसके पास गुरु नहीं है जिसके पास, तो साधु हैं, जैसे हम डीओटीज हैं, हम सब साधु। और शास्त्र है, तो साधु और शास्त्र को फॉलो करना है, राइट। साधु शास्त्र में मंत्र है हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र। अगर आप हरे, क्योंकि ये महामंत्र है, और महामंत्र मतलब बहुत ही पावरफुल है, तो इसका करने से हमारे पर उल्टा प्रभाव, अगर हम गलती से भी करते हैं, हम अच्छे से हरे कृष्ण नहीं बोल पा रहे, हरे राम नहीं बोल पा रहे, तो भी इसका प्रभाव हमारे ऊपर नहीं आता है, उल्टा हमें बेनिफिट ही होता है, राइट। जैसे कुछ, जैसे कोई अगर अच्छा वाला घी खाए, तो घी इतना प्योर होता है कि उसका प्रभाव उसके शरीर पे नहीं आता, लेकिन अगर अलग तरीके के तेल हैं, अलग अलग तरीके के तेल होते हैं, अब वो तेल को खाने जाएगा, तो उस किस तेल को कैसे कुक करना है, कैसे बनाना है, कैसे रखना है, अगर उस तरीके का करोगे तभी उसका फायदा मिलेगा। नहीं तो सरसों का तेल किसी और जगह पे डालो, किसी चीज का तेल तेल कहीं और जगह डालो, तो उसका उल्टा प्रभाव आएगा। लेकिन अगर घी में तो आप हर चीज बना सकते हो, घी क्योंकि प्योर होता है, घी का लेवल अलग है। तो ऐसे ही हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र है, तो उसका जो प्रभाव हमारे पर उल्टा नहीं आता, और क्योंकि कलयुग में हम गलतियां करते हैं, इसीलिए हमें हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र फॉलो करना चाहिए। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र में गलतियां अगर होती हैं तो उसको रेक्टिफाई करने के लिए पंचतत्व महामंत्र है, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। तो इन पांच जो पंचतत्व हैं, चैतन्य महाप्रभु और नित्यानंद प्रभु, इनको हम प्रे करते हैं क्योंकि इन्होंने ही ये प्रेस्क्राइब किया हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र। और चैतन्य महाप्रभु कृष्णा के ही अवतार हैं जो कलयुग में आए, तो इन्होंने प्रेस्क्राइब किया है कि ये मंत्र अगर जाप करोगे, कृष्णा खुद प्रेस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं, सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉडहेड, कि आप ये करो तो आपको कलयुग में और कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। अब क्या है कि हमारा विश्वास होना चाहिए, अब विश्वास समय के साथ आता है, राइट। तो इसलिए जितना ज्यादा हम विश्वास करेंगे हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र में, हम उतना ज्यादा ऐसी चीजों से बचेंगे, क्योंकि हमारे पास समय बहुत कम है माता जी ना, क्योंकि अभी पता नहीं जिंदगी का क्या भरोसा। कब कभी हम गायत्री मंत्र बोलना परफेक्ट कर पाए, हम संन्यास लेंगे नहीं लेंगे, क्या होगा पता नहीं ना। तो इसलिए हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र बोला जाता है। गायत्री मंत्र को जब तक हम ब्राह्मण दीक्षा ना लें, संन्यास ना लें, हमें नहीं प्रोनाउंस करना चाहिए।
ये मैंने कल से उनकी बात सुनी, मैंने आज बोला ही नहीं, मैंने माना है उनको, उन्होंने बोला है कि मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, शास्त्र बोल रहे हैं।
यस, तो ये एक्सप्लेनेशन है, और आगे भी अगर कोई ऐसा है तो आप उसको बता सकती हैं, समझा सकती हैं।
हाँ जी, नहीं बराबर, क्योंकि मैं आपसे जुड़ी ना, उससे पहले से बोल रही थी मैं तो इसको। और फिर मैं अपना हरे कृष्ण हरे राम, हो तो कलयुग केवल नाम आधारा, तो राम हरे कृष्ण तो बोलते ही, उन्होंने भी बोला है कि राम कृष्ण बोलो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, कैसे भी बोलो।
यस, तो हम लोग जो बता रहे हैं पिछले कई महीनों से ना, वो
हाँ,
अगर आप उतना कोई भी, आप ही नहीं कोई भी फॉलो करे, तो आपको कहीं जाने की इधर उधर जरूरत नहीं, क्योंकि जो हम लोग बताते हैं वो शास्त्र से ही है, हम कुछ अपना नहीं
नहीं
बता।
पर मुझे कल बैठे बैठे मुझे देखने में आ गया ना, वो मैं मोबाइल घुमा रही थी तो उनका बोल रहे थे, वो कथा सुन ली मैंने थोड़ी सी, तो मुझे काम की ही बात मिली उससे। अच्छा
यस,
हुआ, मुझे मैं समय से पहले चेत गई।
यस,
और मेरे मन में जब से प्रश्न भरा हुआ था, मैंने कहा मैं पूछूंगी,
यस,
और आज मैंने बोला भी नहीं उनकी बात मान के।
यस, 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 वो क्या, हम कुछ तैयारी अभी जैसे हमसे सुन सुन के हम लोग सुनना, आप सुनती हैं, तो आपका एक तैयारी हो गया, अब एक कंफर्मेशन भी हो गया कहीं और से, राइट।
यस
दूसरी
यस
जगह
यस।
से कंफर्मेशन भी आ गया
हाँ
आपकी, हाँ, जो
हाँ,
बोल
है
रहे
ऐसे
थे
बहुत
ये।
सी हैं मेरे संपर्क में जो बोलती हैं, उनको मैं बोलूंगी।
हाँ, उनको समझाइए कि देखिए ये
हाँ
कलयुग के लिए नहीं है, ये
हाँ
अलग, जैसे मैंने आपको समझाया आप वैसे प्रेम से उनको।
जी जी
हाँ,
जी।
बाकी उनका मानना नहीं मानना उनकी इच्छा, उनको बोलो उससे नुकसान
हम्म।
होगा,
हाँ
इससे
यही है।
उल्टा रिएक्शन आएगा। जैसे
जी
ड्रग,
जी।
जैसे दवा का रिएक्शन आता है वैसे ही रिएक्शन मिलेगा।
हम्म।
तो ऐसे लोग बोलते हैं अरे हम तो बड़ा पूजा पाठ करते हैं फिर भी हमारे जिंदगी में बहुत समस्याएं आ रही हैं, कुछ नहीं है।
जी।
सीधा करोगे काम तो फिर
हम्म।
भगवान क्या करे।